Hey everyone, welcome to the Parts Girl podcast. I have Scott Davis here with Volie that I'm going to be interviewing today. Welcome, Scott.
Good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm so excited to interview you because I don't really know a lot about Volie. So I'm really new to a lot of this. And so let's start with just, your a little bit of your backstory on, why you founded Volie and what's your story?
Sure. The way back part, which I'll abbreviate to a couple sentences, is I kind of accidentally got into auto in 2002, and we had a product that we built in 2008, which was an equity mining marketing platform. It was driving loyalty, and we sent out marketing for dealers, and we also then had a portal where they could look up the marketing, and the dealers would quite often say, well, we want to call these people. What do we do? And I'm like, well, you call them. And they're like, who should we start with? And would say, geez, I don't know, maybe these people. And they'd be like, well, how do we know where we've been? And I'm like, well, you can't. And I sold that in 2015 to Team Velocity. And we started this company in 2017 because we saw a need for software that dealers can use to communicate with their customers. This is BDC software, and we're filling a good niche. So we started in 2017. We started with the vendors. We knew the dealers would need backup. We've got a extremely large percentage of the automotive call centers that use Volie. Quite a few other vendors, from little ad agencies to bigger vendors in auto, use us for certain things. They have about 12,000 active organizations every month that were kind of behind the scenes for a little bit. We always intended this to be dealer BDC software. And March of 2021, we started selling direct to dealer, and we've crossed over 500 dealers this month. So really
Oh,
enjoying it.
that's very exciting. So you saw a need for it. And so, yeah, this is exactly, there's so much data available. So it sounds like you guys really present it in a way of like, this is where you need to focus on calling. Cause yeah, that's overwhelming when you're set in marketing and you're like, who do I even start with?
Yeah. Most of our customers signed up first for their service BDC. When we first started selling direct to dealer, there were no cars on the ground, and the sales BDCs didn't have much of a need. Now a lot of them have come back and they're using it in sales as well. But yeah, it's hard to run a BDC with desk phones. You've got to do ring alls and wait for everyone to answer the phones. And that lowers productivity. You're working generally off spreadsheets, and it's hard to know where you've been. It's easy to double call people, and we serve a good need there. So
Yeah, I would imagine with a team and working off a spreadsheet, that's really hard to manage, where everyone is at. How is it different? How do you guys separate the sales part to the service? Because I would imagine it's a little bit different of a process or approach. Is that the case or no? It's just kind of like
oh
the
no,
same.
it's night and day different. So
Yeah.
generally with service, first of all, it's very incoming call driven. So and that is the first goal of a service BDC. Take care of the people you're trying to do business with. So it is not a ring all, but everyone's available to take a call. We're going to send it to the person who is available. That way you can have accountability to people who are answering the phones. And the great thing is then they don't have to wait around for the phone to ring either. They can be productive outbound. So with service, it's a lot more straightforward. Inbound, outbound, the call mix is way different. And generally leads don't stay with one person in service. It's not as typical. It does happen. Our platform allows it. In sales, quite often there's a tug of war with the salespeople for who gets the lead and when who calls, et cetera. And it's a totally different workflow. So
What problems did you guys like when you guys started out? Like, I would imagine it's evolved over time, as you've developed and grown and gotten feedback. So what problems are you guys solving, or what are you guys running into, and how are you solving those problems?
yeah. So Volley manages data. We basically built a call center application on top of an automotive data matcher. So we take all of the data, the DMS data, flat files they get from the OEMs, other integrations we have, and we load them and then we household the customer. So you can then build rules around who you want to call when, et cetera. And so we allow the dealer to put together a work plan that fits their strategy. So then that really eliminates a lot of the manual work for the manager and helps the dealer know that they've got a strategy in place that they want executed, that has total visibility. If you've talked to dealers with BDCs, no doubt, and they're like, yeah, we've got a BDC. It's expensive, and it was great until Kaylee left and it fell apart. That's kind of what happens when everything's manual. So that allows managers to be able to run their BDC profitable, and it helps you make the agents a lot more productive. Your typical agent can go from 80 calls a day. There are some BDCs that do a little more than that, some that do less, to 250 quite easily, just by giving them a little focus and accountability. And this isn't a robo-dialer. And those are calls, but it's calls, email, and SMS. But when, in this instance, I was just talking calls, because really the other great benefit you have by making people more productive, besides managing inbound in a way that with granular that you can't with a desk phone, it's that you can put a strategy in place to proactively reach out to those customers to schedule those appointments before they defect somewhere else or before they're a month late in service, which then compounds year over year. So it's the effects are incredible.
Yeah, because it sounds like you can customize it, because it's not, it really isn't a one size fits all, because there's different strategies that you can take that are going to work for specific markets. But you made a good point where this, like, not having a strategy makes it so that's why people are saying, like, well, it's expensive, it's not really working. You have to have a strategy in place in order to execute and really see where can you make the improvements in the process.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you guys help with that.
Yeah. I mean, in the past, there was really nothing to measure against. So we also then, when we load the data, we match up what they've done in the platform with the sales and service data as well. So, I mean, everything in a dealership's expensive, right? But everything else in the dealership has clear benchmarks and standards to follow where they can measure if they're making money. So they do now with Volie. That's why.
Oh, good. So you can measure if it's working or not and where you can make adjustments. I have an example, and it's been a few months now, so I'm like, don't know if you guys are the solution, but I was scheduling a service and it's been a few months, so I'm like, how did it go? I went and had a service done, and they presented a few options that could wait. So kind of preparing me that these are coming up, you should probably think about doing them, but we didn't schedule them. I was like, yeah, I'll reach out and schedule again when I'm ready. So then they reach out and say it's time through text. And then I get that text, and then I respond back like, okay, yeah, I'm ready. And then they tell me I need to call to schedule it.
That's a little bit of a broken process. That
is broken.
That'd be trivial in Volie. So our dealers do decline services all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just feel like it's like, I don't think there's a solution or there's a process for it yet to be able to handle it. Because of course they need to know information. Because if the rider didn't document what the service was, that might be why I need to call to schedule so they can confirm what I need to schedule. I don't know.
That one really doesn't make sense to me, because generally dealers, they do a decent job, at least through op codes, if nothing else, of documenting what happened. You can pull that out of the data. You can then enroll those customers in an appropriate time. And
yeah, that's what I thought.
No. Makes no sense.
It doesn't really make sense. But, that's just I'm just one person. That's one instance. I don't think that all dealerships are like that. But I just think there's a lot of opportunity with all the data that we have available to really streamline, the scheduling process of
No
service.
question. Yeah.
And it sounds like you guys really help with that. I love the customization piece too, because it's not like I said, a one size fits all.
Mm-hmm.
So are there any things that you want to point out that are super unique to, what you guys are doing for dealers that maybe sets you apart from other strategies?
I mean, everyone loves their platform. When I talk to a dealer, I can't believe every single one of them doesn't buy at the time. It is a big process change to switch to Volie. The great thing is we've got a dedicated account management crew that is there essentially an extension of their staff who will get them up and going, and we make it really easy. Volie is an extremely unique product right now. We can, there are lots of places to get a list of service people, from all the OEMs to CRMs and such. To build in the call center application in with that is a way that's very unique for us. The most expensive part of a BDC are the agents, the labor you're spending. We have a large dealer group that had over 30 agents, and they had 18 stores on it when they started. They bought a lot of stores. They now have 29 stores in Volie. They have 20 agents, and their productivity is about 6 times higher in outbound attempts. So it really, we can really help them be really productive. And, the hardest part for us, candidly, is just, it's a new category, right? We're competing with desk phones. What do you mean? I just bought this VoIP system. This isn't call center software. Why would I need this? So, we're very unique, and we know we can help dealers.
Yeah, and it sounds like you help that dealer trim down the team, and that's a little bit easier to manage, right? Because it's all
the goal isn't to eliminate employees.
No.
There are no shortage of places where dealers can fill in extra help, but we can make them a lot more efficient. We have another dealership group. They have 8 stores, and they up their outbound attempts again. And this is a common theme by about 6 times from what they were doing. It was a very well buttoned up BDC. Their record before Volie was 250 outbound appointments in a month, and they hit 935 in September. So it's, they're putting some money to the bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and people are hard to find. That's why I mentioned that, the whole making it more efficient and productive. Yeah.
Dealerships are much more complex than they were 20 years ago. The costs have risen a lot of agents. It was tough before COVID. It's brutal now to find help. So
yeah, it really is. And then you had mentioned you guys help with measuring. Are there any benchmarks, or you did a call study recently?
Yeah, we went back and grabbed the last 10 million phone calls that we had to go far enough back so we could look 90 days forward, and just to find some basic, and these were service calls, but just to find the basic metrics there. So it was 6.8 million outbound attempts and 3.4 million inbound attempts that we based this study on.
Wow. And so what were the results, or what did you guys find? What was the biggest?
First of all, with inbound, the average number of inbound attempts that our dealers had to take on a Monday, there were 39% more inbound calls on Monday than the average of Tuesday through Friday. So your staffing strategy, and every dealer, you're nodding, every dealer will nod because they know, but just the magnitude of it is really significant. No days off on Monday. Any part-time strategy you have needs to start with Monday. So it was really interesting. The other thing is you dealers who don't have BDCs on Saturdays, it looks like about 9% of the calls came in on Saturday in what was a partial day. So if you're not working your BDC on Saturday, you probably are missing some conversions. So inbound was really interesting, though. 62.8% of the customers who dropped did not call back within 7 days. Of those, 74% had a previous appointment in the DMS. They are buyers. So you're going to call them back. So in Volie, when they called them back, 54% of them answered by attempt and 34% scheduled appointments. And that 34%, we didn't take out status checks. So if we would have took out status checks, which in a lot of stores equal more than half of the inbound calls, just think of what that conversion is. These people are buyers. You have to call them back. With or without Volie, put a system in place that you call them back. Outbound, it is a matter of math. You've got to put some benchmarks in place. First of all, the first thing I would do, with or without Volie, is I would start benchmarking inbound and outbound attempts separately. Most dealers say, oh, well, they get about 80 in. How many do they do on a normal day? Geez, I don't know. I don't know. Some days they don't make any. Start tracking them separately. We have a way to eliminate potential spam when you're doing outbound calls. And so if your answer rate is between 35 and 40 on a 4 attempt service campaign, you get about 50% the first attempt, 22 the second, and so on. A good benchmark to shoot for is an appointment with 30% of the people that you actually speak with. So start tracking that. Measure inbound, outbound separately, start tracking that. We've got all sorts of dealers talk about, geez, people don't answer the phone in the mornings, or people don't answer the phone at this time of day. You need to staff your store for the whole day. The answer rate was the highest in the morning, but it was about 20% better in the morning than after 5. It was about 7-8% better than the afternoon. Just keep them busy all the time. And when I say keep them busy, we like to benchmark having your agents be 85% efficient. So if you don't have Volie, put a plan in place where they're on the phone 50 minutes an hour and you can hit great numbers. That's about 85% efficient.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. And you guys do stuff with texting too. So like, how do you figure out who wants to be texted? Because I feel like nowadays, sometimes if we get a text message from like a number we don't recognize, we're like, oh, it's junk. So how do you guys track that or help with that?
Yeah, texting is really complex nowadays. Then there's a lot coming down the pike for compliance and consent and those type of things.
Yes.
But that's okay. Volie was built to be a TCPA compliant dialer. There is no robo-dialing in here. We automatically serve up the next call, and then you manually hit a button to dial it. You don't put in the digits, you hit a button to dial it. Same strategy applies for text. So we don't fall into the line of ATDS for texting, automatic texting or robo-dialing. Volie's outside of that. With that in mind, dealers are not making unwanted calls in general. Some of your viewers may feel like they didn't want to, but for the most part, the dealers are pretty nice folks trying to run a good business and be good in the community. And
and you said like most of the time the inbound, they already had an appointment, so they're kind of already expecting that.
Yeah. So the texts that dealers are sending are, you just sent a lead and you didn't answer, and call me back at this number. You're due for an oil change. You have a recall. Here's your appointment confirmation. We're texting you to find out how your service was. Those are pretty, I would say, of the SMSs sent in Volie, I bet you those are 97% of the ones that are sent. So, they just need to be thoughtful and treat people like they want to be treated. We register those numbers with 10DLC, A to P, which is new regulations to make sure they get delivered. And, it works well.
Yeah, I would imagine, because some people want to be called and some people want to be texted, or both,
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Yeah. So talk about Volie as a company. I think you and your son work together, because that's how we got connected.
Yeah, I do have one more stat that I meant to say that I wanted to talk about. I really want to encourage your dealers who are listening, with or without Volie, to put in an outbound strategy. We looked at those 6.8 million calls that we made, or that our dealers made, and a lot of times dealers, you've heard it too. Geez, I know I'm wasting 50% of my advertising. I just don't know which 50%. A lot of dealers wonder what would happen if I did nothing. Well, we had 6 million calls to kind of figure that out. We took the people that the dealers did not make contact with and did not make a voicemail. We compared them with the people they spoke with. The lift in appointments in the database was 52%. So over doing nothing. So over that 90-day measurement period. If you leave a voicemail, it's about a 4% improvement over doing nothing. So just please put a strategy in place. Yeah, you asked about the family affair. I just love Volie, and I'm lucky to work with the people I work with. Peter and Sam, my technical co-founders. Sam's one of my sons. Peter, I've known him for a long time. Some of the earliest folks, Joanne was there right at the start too. I've known Joanne for 10 years. Liza, who runs customer success, I've known forever. I have a daughter and son-in-law that work for me. I have a niece that works for me. We have a group of true believers and great people. There's about 27 people that work at Volie right now, and every day I wake up and I enjoy what I do, and I'm thankful I get to do it with the people I do. Jake, who you met, He's kind of our catch-all type of guy right now, kind of the Yarborough or garbage pail guy. We didn't take outside investment. I wrote all the checks. So that means we didn't hire an artist. When we needed artists, we've got to hire one. We've got a great one that we hire. But marketing, we do a lot of the stuff on our own books at the moment still. And so we don't have a behind for every seat yet. So he gets to fill in a lot of the chairs right now.
Oh, that's really cool. That's part of the growing process. I mean, that's how PartsEdge is. There's a lot of us that fill multiple seats because, when you're in a growth pattern, you kind of adjust and go with it. So that's really cool. And so where are you guys located exactly?
Fort Myers, Florida. Yeah.
Are you guys all over, or are you guys all kind of there?
Half the people are in Fort Myers. Our developers are all over. Our salespeople are all over, but the CS team is mostly here. And
Good.
Yeah.
That's really cool. And so for doing this for so many years and just having the passion behind it, because, you guys didn't take any, outside investments, and really, how was that as a entrepreneur and just, getting things started? Because it's really hard to get started, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just very lucky. We had a good network. We were able to, our first 4 customers that we started with in 2018, essentially late 2017, then 18, we essentially ran with them for a year. They were friends of mine. We practiced on them. And we were lucky that we could afford to be patient and lucky that we didn't have some of the pressures that a lot of companies have, that we could afford to make good long-term decisions. And every decision that we make is for the long term. So
that's really cool. I love that. So I always like to ask a couple personal questions
Sure.
just to kind of wrap up the show so people get a chance to get to know you. Is there like anything special, or do you have like a special hidden talent or hobby that you really, really enjoy?
I work a lot. I don't know, maybe something a little bit special about me. I've got a very regimented morning routine. I wake up extremely early. I practice Spanish for the fun of it. And then I write 1,000 words in my journal every morning.
1,000 words?
Yep.
Wow.
And
That's
most of it, by the way, most of it's junk.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
sure
okay.
there's enough nuggets in there that at some point when I've been doing it for years, so I'm sure there's enough good stuff in here. When I ever go back through it, there'll be something. But that's maybe not unique, or maybe is unique to me.
No, that's unique, and that actually shows your a lot of entrepreneurs are like that. They're very regimented and, stick to their routine, and that's important. And I think writing in journals really help us, I think, set goals and just decompress our feelings or what's going on. I don't know. It's just a really great, way.
Yeah, because we all can make ourselves crazy, right? And I mean, most things that happen in life, if they truly actually come to pass, we punished ourselves twice, once in our mind and once when it happened. Most things never actually happen, and we just sit there and punish ourselves or worry about it.
True.
Really, the greatest. Well, everyone needs to focus on the doing in life. It'll reduce stress doing, and journaling helps organize your mind in a way so you could do the doing. There's nothing more important than actually doing something. Ideas are nearly worthless without doing, and you'll never get product market fit without doing. So journaling is a good first step for that.
It really is, yeah. And by writing it down is that first step. I think people overthink journaling because they think it needs to sound perfect, but it sounds like, you just dump out what you want to say and then you move on.
Well, I've had far too many entries about what I ate or how my workout
'Cause
went
you're like-
today, but
I
I'm
don't
more
know
on
what I'm
reading
gonna
it,
write.
so it's fine.
Yeah, that's really cool. I really like that. And you wake up early. That's a good way to start your day. And I think it's unique because I think it's really hard for people to stick to a routine. So we're in the car business. Do you have like a passion with like a certain car? Do you have or what's your daily driver? What do you like? What do you love about auto?
Well, first of all, the cliches and stereotypes in auto are almost totally wrong. People look at auto dealers like they're these slick businessmen, shysters, and businessmen and women. And in general, they're not. Most of them are just good, nice folks. And I know there's been a lot of consolidation, but most of them are good, nice folks who are trying to run a good business, and they're very good in the community. What I most like about the auto business, these transactions really matter to people. The stakes are high. I love that Volie, that people are in it 100% of the day. So the people who sign up with Volie, their agents use it 100% of the day. So that's fun. We're being useful. Makes me feel like
Absolutely.
we're doing good.
Yeah, that's a good feeling. You're really helping people be more productive and efficient, and like they're not running blind in a way. They're like they have a strategy, they can produce, and that it's really helping them. So that's very satisfying. So as we wrap up the show, is there anything that you wanted to add, or is there anything you wanted to talk about before we close?
No, I mean, I'm kind of an open book, and there's probably you sussed out maybe one of the few interesting things about me. So as far as Volie goes, you can email me at scott@volie.com or go to our website. There's a lot of good info on it. Really, I just am very thankful for being on the show, and certainly anything I can do for you or your listeners, be happy to. With or without
Absolutely.
signing up for Volie. So.
Yeah, no, definitely. So reach out to Scott. It sounds like you have some really good ideas and strategies to help dealerships. And we'll have the links in the show notes. But thanks so much, Scott, for joining the show.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good afternoon and good weekend.
You too.
Thank you for joining us. PartsEdge, the power tool for your parts department. We hope you're leaving feeling motivated, challenged, and inspired.